Admiral Zexathara's mandibles clicked with satisfaction as he surveyed the tactical display aboard his flagship, the Dominion's Claw. 300 vessels of the hegemony's finest warships hung in perfect formation around the outer rim of the Sol system, their sleek hulls gleaming with the authority of 1,000 conquered worlds. "Scan complete, Admiral," chirped his tactical officer, a nervous Quillen whose feathers rippled with anticipation. "The third planet shows signs of industrial civilization. Population approximately 8 billion. No orbital defense platforms. Detected." Zexathara's 4 eyes gleamed. Another primitive world, ripe for the taking. In his 2 centuries of service, he had overseen the subjugation of 47 species. The pattern was always the same: arrive in overwhelming force. Demonstrate. Superior firepower, demand surrender. Most species capitulated immediately upon seeing the vast armada. Those foolish enough to resist were swiftly crushed. "Any spacecraft detected?" Zexathara inquired, though he already knew the answer. Primitive worlds rarely possessed anything beyond crude chemical rockets. "Yes, Admiral. Several small vessels orbiting the third planet and... Wait." The Quillen's crest feathers stood on end. "Sir, there's something else. A single vessel approaching from the asteroid belt. It's moving directly toward us." Zexathara's laughter boomed across the bridge, a sound like grinding stone. "One ship? They send one ship against 300? He gestured dismissively with a clawed appendage. "Magnify the display. Let us see what passes for military might among these creatures." The main screen flickered, and there it was. A vessel unlike anything in Zexathara's extensive experience. Where hegemony ships were elegant curves of bio-metal and crystal, this thing was a brutal assemblage of angular plates and jutting weapons emplacements. It looked less like a starship and more like a flying fortress, all harsh lines and predatory purpose. "Primitive," snorted Commander Velkoth, Zexathara's second-in-command. "Look at that crude construction. Clearly cobbled together from whatever scrap metal they could find." But something nagged at Zexathara's mind. The ship's approach vector was wrong. It wasn't fleeing or trying to avoid confrontation. It was coming straight at them, maintaining a steady velocity that suggested complete confidence. "Admiral," the communications officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the approaching vessel." On screen, the display shifted to show a bipedal creature with pale skin and predatory forward-facing eyes. When it spoke, its voice was calm, almost conversational. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force vessel Indomitable. You have entered human space without authorization. I am ordering you to withdraw immediately." The bridge fell silent. Then Zexathara's laughter erupted again, even louder than before. "Ordering us? Us! 300 ships, and this human thinks to give orders." He gestured to the communications officer. "Open a channel. Let me educate this primitive." When the link was established, Zexathara leaned forward, his imposing frame filling the screen. "I am Admiral Zexathara of the Galactic Hegemony. You will surrender your world immediately, or we will take it by force. You have one of your local time units to comply." The human's expression didn't change. If anything, she looked bored. "Negative," Captain Chen replied. "You have 30 seconds to begin your withdrawal, or I will consider this a hostile action and respond accordingly." The sheer audacity left Zexathara speechless. One ship threatening 300? It was beyond comprehension. "Tactical," snarled, Target that vessel. When this Captain Chen sees her ship vaporized, perhaps the rest of her species will be more reasonable. Weapons locked, Admiral. Sir! The Quillen tactical officer's voice cracked with panic. The human ship. It's powering up some kind of weapon system. Energy readings are... Admiral, these readings can't be correct. Zexathara glanced at the display and froze. The power output climbing on his screens was impossible. No ship that size could generate such energy without tearing itself apart. 30 seconds are up, came Captain Chen's voice, still maddeningly calm. You were warned. Space erupted. The human ship didn't fire a single devastating beam or launch a swarm of missiles. Instead, it seemed to unfold like a mechanical flower of death. Hidden weapons bays opened across its hull, revealing an arsenal that defied physics. Particle, beams, plasma cannons, gravitational disruptors, and weapons Zexathara couldn't even identify poured destruction into his carefully arranged formation. But it wasn't just the variety of weapons, it was their precision. Each shot found its mark with surgical accuracy, targeting critical systems, command bridges, reactor cores, ships that had taken years to construct and represented the pinnacle of hegemony technology were reduced to expanding clouds of debris in seconds. Zexathara watched in horror as his beautiful armada was systematically dismantled. The human ship moved with impossible grace, its weapons never missing, never wasting a shot. Every burst of energy was perfectly calculated for maximum destruction. "Shields down on decks 7 through 12, someone screamed. "Engineering reports cascade failures in the primary reactor. Admiral, we're losing ships faster than tactical can track." In less than 3 minutes, 2/3 of the hegemony fleet was gone. The survivors hung in space like wounded animals, their systems failing, their crews in panic. Zexathara's flagship shuddered as another precise beam carved through its hull. Emergency lighting bathed the bridge in red, and the acrid smell of burned electronics filled the air. "Sir," whispered the Quillen officer, his voice barely audible, 60 ships remaining, all others destroyed or disabled." The human ship had stopped firing. It hung motionless in space, surrounded by the wreckage of what had been the most powerful fleet in known space. Captain Chen's face reappeared on the screen. She looked exactly as calm as before, as if she had just completed a routine training exercise rather than obliterating a galactic armada. "Admiral Zexathara," she said pleasantly, "I believe I mentioned that entering human space without authorization would be considered a hostile action. You now have a choice. Retreat immediately with your surviving vessels, or join the debris. Field around you. I'll give you 60 seconds to decide." Zexathara stared at the human face on his screen, his mind reeling. In 3 minutes, this single ship had accomplished what should have been impossible. 300 of the hegemony's finest warships, reduced to scrap by one human vessel. "How?" he croaked. Captain Chen's lips curved in what might have been a smile. "Admiral, you've just encountered humanity's first lesson for the galaxy. We don't build ships to show off. We build them to win. Now what's your decision?" Zexathara's claws trembled as he gave the order he never thought he would give. "All ships, retreat. Emergency jump to the rally point." As the surviving hegemony vessels limped away into hyperspace, Captain Chen settled back in her command chair. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Torres, looked up from his console with a grin. "Think they'll be back, Captain?" Chen shrugged. "Probably not these ones, but word will spread. The galaxy will learn that Earth isn't just another primitive world to be conquered. She gazed out at the debris field that had once been a conquering armada. They'll learn that humanity doesn't surrender. We fight, and we win. The Indomitable turned toward home, leaving behind the scattered remains of the hegemony's pride and the birth of a legend that would spread across the stars. Never underestimate the humans.